Solving equations with fraction busters is basically if you have an equation that has one or more fractions in it and you're just not comfortable sticking with the fractions, then you can eliminate them. So what I would do, taking a look at this very first one that I have here, is I'd make everything look like a fraction, just so I know what I'm working with here. And that 17 doesn't look like a fraction yet. So I'd go ahead and put a 1 underneath that. Then the next thing that I would do is I would try to find what the common denominator would be. It's not that I'm going to get them to match, because that is not the case. I'm going to use the least common denominator to annihilate all of the denominators. So in this case, the denominator would be whatever 3, 7, and 1 all go into, which is going to have to be 21. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that 21, I'm going to multiply it times all of the fractions, or all of the pieces that were there originally. Remember, with equations, whatever you do to one thing or whatever you do to one side, you have to do to everything or to both sides. So I'm putting my 21s in, and then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to carry down the equation that was given to me in the first place. So that negative 2x over 3 is just going to come down, as is that x over 7, as is that 17 over 1, excuse me. So now from here, what we're going to do is we're just going to start multiplying. So if I multiply straight across with these, let's go ahead and put 1s underneath those 21s. I think it might make just a tiny bit easier. We multiply fractions straight across. So I would multiply the negative 21, excuse me, the positive 21 and the negative 2x, and that's going to give me negative 42x over 3. Likewise, multiply here the second fraction as well. That's going to give me negative 21x over 7. And then this last one's going to be a little bit larger. So if I multiply the 21 and the 17, I get a large number of 357. And I'll just go ahead and keep the 1s as well. Now, what I'm going to do, I know it still looks like we have fractions, but if we divide, these all go in evenly now. So this is going to give me a negative 14x minus, multiply those together, excuse me, divide those, going to give me a negative 3x, and then I know that 1 goes into 357 times. Combine like terms here. Notice that the fractions have disappeared. That's the beautiful part about this. Then I'm going to divide by negative 17, trying to get my x by itself. And then bring down my negative 357 over 17. And of course, just like any other thing, if we can simplify this, we're going to, which we can. This goes in evenly, and it's going to be negative 21. Moving on to the second example, I'm going to do the exact same thing. So I see that everything already looks like a fraction, which is good. So I want to figure out what my least common denominator would be. It's not that I'm going to match them, I'm actually going to annihilate them. So with a 2, just looking at the numbers first, a 2, and a 4, I know it's going to have to be a 4. But you'll notice that there's an x down there as well, so we're going to have to keep the x. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use that, and I'm going to multiply everything by 4x. And let's go ahead and make it 4x over 1, since we went back and put the 1s in anyway. Bring down the signs that were with us in the original question, leaving space where I'm just going to put everything back in. Make sure that you multiply everything by 4x over 1. Just like any other equation, whatever you do to one thing or whatever you do to one side, you do to everything or to both sides. Now let's just bring down what was given to us in the first place inside those parentheses. Once we have that written down, we're just going to go ahead and multiply straight across just like we normally would. Alright, multiplying this, I'm going to get a 28x over a 2x plus, again, multiplying straight across. And then the last one on the other side. And again, I realize that this doesn't look all that great, but they will, all of the fractions will cancel. We just need to do some division after this. Alright, now let's go ahead and divide. So I know that my x's here are going to cancel because anything over itself is just 1. And that's going to give me 14 when I divide. 2 goes into 12 6 times. No x to cancel with that time, so there was nothing that we could do. And then 52 divided by 4 is going to give me 13. Now, the beauty of this is the fractions disappear. So let's go ahead and just finish solving the equation. So it looks like this one actually works out pretty nice. I'm going to go ahead and divide by 7, and I think we're going to get x is equal to 2.